Have I come down to the best value driver fitting in the UK? The worst bit is I know he's going to be brutally honest.
We are at, woohoo.
Yeah.
So I've seen drivers in here, they come in at 10 degrees and they're 11.5.
I actually feel I can release this now. 12 degrees launch and 2.4 spin when I've missed the target left is unheard of. And again, I think it's important what I wanted to get away from this video. We're building drivers that are complementing our swing, our journey, everything else. There's not a miracle cure. And again, you've got to know when enough is enough. That one, for example.
I would say that's enough.
Alex, I'm back. Thank you for having me back down again. And we're looking at drivers today.
Indeed we are.
How's it been since the last video's come out?
Not enough hours in the day, my friend.
It was a very good value. Well, it was just a great video to start off with. Great offer. I know a lot of the guys that are watching the channel took you up on that offer. As you've been telling me, it's been very busy leading up to Christmas, even after Christmas.
Carnage.
Carnage. But today, we're talking about drivers. I'm excited to get your opinion, just like I was last time that we came and obviously talked about it. It's great for me to learn quite a bit from you as well. And main reason for me to come back is to talk a bit about drivers and your theory over fitting them. And honestly, I want to talk a bit about truth today when it comes to drivers. What can a driver fit actually do for the average golfer?
It depends on the individual, first and foremost. What we've got to appreciate is what percentage of it is going to be club and what percentage of it is technique. You know, people think, oh, driver, get fitted, I'm going to bomb it 280, hit the middle of the fairway every time. Club alone will not cure that. It's a blend of both. It can't be greater than some of the parts, basically. You need a good driver, you need a good technique. Driver will do so much, technique will do the balance.
So this is the driver head we're working with today. Orca Reflex. Alex has this in 9 degree, 11 degree, and also 13 degrees. Quickly just talk about the price point. So on the website it says $299, but can you elaborate a bit on that?
Yeah, so $299 is kind of a mid-entry shaft. They range really from $279.
So it could be cheaper?
It could be cheaper, it could be more expensive, depending on what shaft. Look, all shafts cost different. So it's difficult to go, this is the flat price, crack on regardless of shaft. It's not that simple. The absolute, maximum our shaft and head combination would top out at is about $349.
And obviously it's somewhat bad to say in 2025, obviously $349 could be considered, let's say, affordable. The interesting thing with that, let's say, price point is it's £50 for the fitting. So you come down, if you don't buy it, then obviously come down, get your information. Do you know what I mean? But if you were to buy it, that £50 gets taken off the price of a driver.
At any point. At any point.
At any point.
So they can go away, spend a week, 2 weeks procrastinating, call
Got
out.
you, of course. It doesn't have to be on the day, which is how I like it. But I haven't had a driver fitting for a very long time. And it'd be interesting to see what we can do to, for me, I know this is obviously the anomaly, for me to maybe reduce distance, but find more fairways. Because at the moment it's driving iron, or if I've got 2 holes either side of the fairway, the driver then comes out.
For sure. For the majority of amateurs, obviously we can't put you in that category, but if we think of the 80% of the golfers around the world, or based in the UK, what we're looking for is 12.5 degrees launch, 1900 to 2300 spins. That's what you need to be looking for. That's you getting the absolute best and the optimal out of that driver. For you, we need to reduce distance. You want to be a bit more, or your accuracy, you want to be tight, you want to be hitting fairways. So for you, we're going to be looking at maybe adding a bit more launch, adding a bit more spin. We maybe even go in slightly shorter driver, try, a bit more control. For someone like yourself carrying it 300 yards, distance is not your issue. Control is.
So Alex, this is the driver that I've been using. I quite like this for the channel because I like to practice what I preach. I got sent this to be reviewed by PXG when it came out. I think it was like 219 or 229, something like that. And again, because ball speed hasn't really changed, and because I know technique for me makes such a massive part if I hit this well or not, I kind of just stuck with it. I kind of just went, you know what, this is my driver. And to be honest, it works pretty well, but you're going to do some, just like you did with the irons.
Just do some checks so we know what we're starting with.
We're going to do some testing to see swing weight, loft, which is important, especially when it comes to driver fits. I think this is important. Tolerances in the game of golf. You go and get fitted for a driver. The driver works great. 4 weeks later, driver turns up.
It's not like it is.
Shaft tolerances, people don't talk about that enough.
Yeah.
Head tolerances don't get talked about enough.
Spine aligning shafts.
So it's interesting. And then also, I think we've got to caveat that, how much that really makes a massive difference for that average golfer that, do you know what I mean? Just walked out of bed, over the top, all that kind of stuff. So we could go, oh, that's why my driver's not working, spine alignment. But it's also, I'm not being funny, if you're spending $550 on a driver, you want to make sure that it's...
Get it right.
Correct.
We are at... Woohoo! D4.8.
So for a standard driver, swing weight, where are we aiming
typically D1, D2.
Okay.
But you've got to realise there's a number of things will affect that. Length, obviously. Weight of head. If you've added weights into the bottom, that'll affect it. Grip size.
Of course, everything plays a part.
Everything plays a part, yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, they might have just gone, well, Simon's quite strong.
I think
let's
that
add
could,
weight.
yeah, I mean, to be fair, you could say that.
So your loft on this is 9 degrees, which is good. So you can see it there. You can see it on the plate. Little line there just before 10.
Oh, I see. I've got you right. Okay, I see there. Perfect. So
9 degrees.
So it's the correct loft.
Yeah, most, well, not most, all manufacturers, myself included, when our drivers are made or any driver's made, there has a production tolerance.
Yeah.
Typically, they state plus or minus 1 degree.
Yeah.
So I've seen drivers in here, they come in at 10 degrees and they're 11.5.
Right, I see.
You know, you do have a production tolerance. When we get ours, we laser measure and label each one. So if I'm saying to you, your driver, you need 9.5, it might have a 10 on the bottom or a 9 on the bottom, but it will be 9.5.
Right, quick warm up, just as Alex was saying, he gets everyone to warm up with a 7-iron just to start off with, and then we're going to obviously get straight into driver fitting, because obviously you could hit too many drivers as a warm up. Is that something that potentially has happened in the past?
Absolutely.
I feel that way as well. Like you get someone hit 50 drivers, and then it's like,
They're shot, yeah.
Where do you go from there?
Anyone think you play golf?
Especially with my editing. I think it's worth mentioning, anyone that watched the last video, Alex has just put me in the same setup that he fitted me for last time, so half an inch longer, this dynamic gold. And again, in terms of dispersion, since I was here last time, obviously working relatively well.
Not hitting it left.
Definitely not going left. So for the testing and warm-up, I've got my 9 degree PXG 0211 driver with a Diamana X-Flex shaft in it. I'll be excited to see what we end up with. Right, driver time.
Fun and games. Right, so you've warmed up with your driver, you're happy. What I'm going to get you to do, like anyone that comes in here, give me 6 to 8.
Yep.
Let's look at the numbers, let's talk through them, pick them apart and find where we're going to improve and how we're going to improve.
Oh, she might go left. I think that today, if there's ever a shot I need not on a golf course, and again, we're going to talk about technique and why that happens to me a lot. However, if there's something that can stop that happening.
And what will happen is you hit that one left, you'll manipulate your swing to not... You know.
Well, this is why I get so stuck. This is why everything comes here, because let's be truthful, I don't spend enough time on my driver technique. If anything, I'm warming up in the mornings just with some irons. My irons have got a lot better this year. But it's difficult, and I think most golfers would relate to this, is that my technique at the moment can produce that.
Yep.
Like I can sometimes do that shot. So it's like, oh, why can't I just do it all the time? And I know it's technique based. So much face rotation and hand rotation at impact. But then with that, if you get away with it, you're like, oh, great. But then am I making birdie from that drive? Probably not. Have I just made double from the last one?
Probably.
Yeah.
So clearly we've got a bit of a two-way miss here, haven't we?
Yes.
And the more aggressive miss is the one way left, going left, staying left.
Yeah, I like that. Like, obviously, I don't like that. I mean, I'm what, 40 yards, 50 yards offline, something like that. So I don't like that. But it goes high and spinny. It's probably, especially out to the right. I'm normally allowing, when this comes out, it's because I've got space to the right. So I normally play that block more than anything else.
But this one to the right is obviously a bit more of a heel strike.
Yeah.
Which will increase spin. And what shot shape do you want to see on your driver?
Well, I think especially over last year, and again, something that I'm going to work more on, I fade. And the only reason I say that is in tournament or let's say pressure conditions, I know the draw is going to come back.
Yeah.
So I know in practice, if I can get my driver to be 1 on the in or neutral, I know on tournament day it's going to be 3-4 on the in. I grip it tighter, it's going to be stronger, but it's not going to be 7-8, which is at the moment is 7-8. And that's when that manipulate, I either get that 40-yard block or snap hook straight left if I hit the toe. Oh, she's going to go left. That's high toe. So we're going to talk about shafts, face, head. That one was high toe there. That is my destructive shot. And at the moment, I've probably got a 40% success rate of actually hitting it straight. Otherwise, it's all over the place.
And for someone of your level, that's too big a percentage.
Well, it's huge. Again, that's, as I say, if I want to shoot 76, 75, 74 driving iron, do you know what I mean? That's why I become steeper. Again, when I hit that pull hook with my driving iron, it's 30 yards offline. I'm like, okay, whatever. Yeah. But it'd be good. I think a big goal for me this year is my distance is my strength. I need to be more confident.
And a little bit straighter.
And that's going to come with the straightness. That's going to come with the straightness. Where are we starting?
I'm going to start you with the Fuji Pro 60X. Because you're in an X at the minute, the Diamana shaft you have will feel a little bit boardy. Diamana are known for being a bit boardy, just a bit stronger.
And what does that mean? What would that feel like for the average golfer?
Just hard to hit, like a scaffold pole.
Right, got you. So basically, no, as most, let's say, average golfers refer to whippiness. Yeah. Basically, it's one consecutive piece of material between you and the head, basically.
Correct. And I don't want you to manipulate anything. I just want you to stick your normal...
You don't know me, mate. My swing changes every hour on the hour, but I will try my best to replicate exactly what I was just doing there. It's interesting, actually, because these do feel like the swings with my other driver shaft that would actually hit it straight. I think because those last ones, I'm going to hit one now where actually I just release the club. I actually feel I can release this now. Does that make sense?
My question is, yeah, absolutely, Simon. I mean, if it's the first shaft we put you in, I'll be annoyed.
I mean, look, I've just got 340 here.
My question is that left?
That's not left.
What's the launch? Our target for you today was what? 14?
Yeah.
14 and a half would take?
Yeah.
Which you've nailed, but the spin's a little bit low.
What was the last one? 1800.
18 low.
Hence why it's just gone 340. I really like that. Only because my biggest fear is left, and obviously...
But if you remove that fear, like I cannot now hit it left, brilliant. So where does the balance, where's the extra come from? Right, we can't hit it left now. Let's work on our technique and get it closer to target line. Because
this is, arguably, if I'm allowed to release a golf club, God forbid, I should be faster, rather than this stuck hold off that I always have. Tiny bit toey, but that's going to work. But that's, you know what I actually really like? I've just hit it out the toe, and dare I say, I might still be in play. That was money. That's the best one, and actually middled as well, to be fair, which always helps, doesn't it?
Compared to here, you know.
But these, again, these first two here to the right-hand side, that's me adjusting, going, oh, bloody hell, I'm allowed to release this thing. Right, it's a good start. It's an interesting question, actually. How many times have you done a driver fitting where instinctually, because let's be honest, it's instinct, you're going to go for the best possible combination. You see a guy hit a few driver shafts, you know, his driver, let's say, and you go, you know what, this shaft and head's going to work, and you just give it to him, and it works. Do they feel hard done by because they haven't tried 7 different shafts?
No, do you know what? I'm a bit like, again, anyone who's been in here recently when I've done iron fittings, I'm a bit like a matrix. Numbers are going in the back of my head going, I'm trying to find you. It's not about having a fitting for 2 hours. Yeah. We're trying to achieve key data points, improvements. Once we've hit it, mustard. Yeah. The next benefit is go and invest into yourself. Having a fitting doesn't have to last 2 hours, an hour. You don't need to try 50 different shafts. It's let's find the one that achieves the optimal. Once you've achieved it, done. If that's 20 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes, great. I think for me, anyone who's been in here, again, not to repeat myself, I get annoyed when it's the first shaft. Yeah. It irritates me, but it happens.
Of course. Right, next driver up. I talked to you a bit about this, and I think it's probably a good time to talk about flex, actually. I talk a lot about flex in my channel in terms of potentially alleviating bad shots. But have we gone to a stiff flex now?
We have, yeah. Flex's only job, really, is to allow the head to turn or not. The firmer it is, the less it turns. Yeah. The stiffer it is, it's going to be, X flex will turn less than a regular.
Yes.
Right? I can give you a heavier regular shaft that will feel firmer than a light stiff because of the weight. Okay. What we're looking to do here for you is try and increase your spin and launch. So we've gone to the other end of the spectrum compared to the Fujikura Pro, so people can see the difference.
So as Alex was saying, especially with the shaft, obviously stiff flex, so we should see it go left theoretically because of the torque. However, we want more spin, I want more spin. So going down this route, it'd be interesting to show the guys what numbers that I should be hitting.
Absolutely.
The only thing is I've got to stop myself changing my swing. I'd be interested to know. I think that was slightly bottomy. So I think that should jack its spin numbers up as well, but it has gone left.
2.4, 13.5 launch. Good.
I mean, I'd take it on the course. I'm not going to lie.
Of course you would.
I quite like that one. I think.
What's interesting, I was expecting to see this go a little bit more left for you.
But you know why I like this one though? The reason I liked that one and I thought that was going to work better is because that came out slightly heely for me, which with that driver, that's my shot. Like, because I'm always high launch, low spin, I know if I hit heel on the course, tee it low, hit it out the hill, I'm like, soft fade here.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You're not going to hit it left.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, what we have done, and as expected, wanted to see more spin, which is happening.
Yes.
Your launch, we want at 14 for you, because we want a bit more control, you're getting. But surprisingly, you're not hitting this left.
Again, that was high toe, so I feel like old driver, that would have been crucified.
Interesting.
And that has gone very straight.
We're eradicating the lefts. This is good.
I think it's especially with shaft, it's so feel based, and considering my driver feels very similar to like a Hazardous. Do you know what I mean? Like 6.5, very body, low spin. Yeah. I think ego-wise over the many years, because I'm fast, I'm like, yeah, that's it. Distance.
Yeah.
I feel a light shaft, even if this is why when I test like reg flex driver shafts, I'm just like, God, how easy is it? Do you know what I mean?
Because you can feel it. Well, it's a bit like how often do we go and hit a graphite iron and go, oh, this is so easy to hit. Try and release this.
Like that would have been like catastrophically.
Yeah.
It's interesting for me because that there is obviously manageable. That would have been another 70 yards a minute ago. There's absolutely no question. I appreciate that's probably like 40 yards offline. I think the interesting thing, as Alex was saying, is that he's giving me shafts that are obviously producing more spin, more launch, and 12 degrees launch and 2.4 spin when I've missed the target left is unheard of. The reason my old shaft is low spinning, obviously boardy, as obviously Alex was saying, but because these were spinning at like 1,600, 1,700, same impact factors, that's almost the difference I've got there between potentially being in play and then the yellow ones being out of bounds. And again, it's fascinating. I've got no ego when it comes to driver shafts. So if a stiff flex, and obviously it's a kind of catch-22 because I almost need a high spinning, low torque shaft, which doesn't really exist. You can't have both of best worlds.
Again, it's the percentage of what part of it's going to be club and what part of the percentage is going to be technique. What are you willing to work on, and what are the tools to help you work with that?
Yes. Yeah. Alex, we talked about a secret, not really secret, but let's say a card up the sleeve technique in terms of length as well.
So for accuracy for you,
yes.
we would chop an inch off your driver, get down to 44, give you a bit more accuracy. You would see for you a probably drop down in 5 to 10 yards. For an amateur, it would be a lot more. It'd probably be 15, 20 yards. But my question to that is, would you rather be 280 in the crap or 260, 265 fairway every time? On your scorecard, you write how many, not how far.
Of course. Right, so we're going stiff flex, we're going to another one, but we're moving the needle a touch more. So even lower kick point.
And lighter.
And lighter. So this, I should feel all the head here.
Oh, yes. So this is a different profile compared to the other two. It's a lot lighter. We've stayed stiff. So you
That feels, to be fair, interestingly, out of the 4 shafts that we tried, have any of them been, what have been the price points of those shafts?
So this one now would be the 280.
So this would be the cheapest
This
one.
would be the cheapest one.
Because interestingly, it gives me an aftermarket feel, only because, as you said, how light it is. And that's what I deem aftermarket, because you have, obviously I know this is an X, this is stiff, but for me, I can feel all that head.
But that's where you've come in here going, I want to lose it left. I don't feel I can feel where the head is in your existing driver. That's what we were aiming.
It is.
You know?
Again, I'm not being funny,
2.7 spin, 12 launch. I mean, we want, for you, I want that launch up at 14. So if we're spinning this well now, but still launching it a fraction.
But I think that's come heel though, so that's obviously going to launch it lower a touch anyway. I think, but that shot shape, again, I'm not being funny. I couldn't care if I hit my driver 290 like total.
You just don't want to hit it left.
No, I just don't want to hit it left. Like, again, that was perfect. Like, the way I've hit that out of the face, I automatically knew, especially down the fairway, I'm not like 12, 15 yards offline.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be taking drive if I didn't have 50 yards, 60 yards to play with anyway. So realistically, we've tested some shafts. I've got quite a good idea of which one's my favourite and what's worked for me. However, we want to play a bit of a test.
Yep.
We want to go opposite end of the spectrum. A very well-known shaft nowadays, shot to fame, the Velocore.
Yeah, Ventus, such a good shaft, but a real top end. So this will be interesting again to see how it performs for you. Does it perform any better than a £110, £120 shaft? We're about to find out.
So clarifying, obviously for a lot of people watching, because this is a mid kick point, I'm going to see less spin than I would see obviously
with a lower kick point.
Obviously the other shafts. So is this one of the reasons it is more expensive than other shafts? Is it because of the weight?
It's the reason Ventus is more expensive is just because it's a better build. It's, the tolerances they make on their shafts, it's tighter. There's more R&D that goes into it. There's more costs attributed to it.
What would that give the average golfer though?
Depends on the individual,
right? Of course.
For me, and anyone again seen some of the posts, I always talk about understand the value over the overall. Is for someone like you, are we going to, an amateur, for example, are we going to see 15, 20 yards, 20 yards more? Maybe, maybe not. Are we going to see tighter dispersions? Probably. Yeah. But it's understanding where's the value. Yeah. If someone came into me and there's a very well-known shaft that costs 700 quid, if that shaft isn't finding me 50% more fairways and gaining me 10 more yards, there's no value in it.
But I feel like I'm trying to consciously do that now. I'm feeling like I'm trying to actually close.
So if you tried to release that but can't?
Yes. I mean,
so it's interesting, in terms of, again, it's like people might come in and go, I just don't want to hit it left. All right, well, this shaft will stop you hitting it left. Yeah, you're not hitting it left.
Yeah.
Proof's in the pudding, but we don't want to be losing it outright and not able to turn it in. We don't mind a miss right, but we certainly don't want to be able to, we don't want to be struggling to turn it over. It's
interesting. Let's go back, because it's interesting. I feel like now I'm just manipulating.
So here's a question. What shaft do you feel like you should be in? We both have an idea, but without preempting, where do you think you should be?
The first shaft I feel like I was the most comfortable with.
Yeah.
I think it was nice to go lighter. Yeah. Like to try it out, and to be perfectly honest, it was working to a degree, but because it was stiff, not X-stiff, I felt they crept more left. Yeah. This, I feel, is the same qualities of that first shaft, but it feels heavier for me. Yep. Right, back to the old faithful. I'm going to grip down it slightly, as Alex suggested. This has basically been a nice little journey, especially obviously going through the shafts, talking about the different shafts. This is kind of in the middle between those lighter, or let's say really light,
heavier,
stiff ones.
Boardier.
Then heavier, boardier. Whereas this, and again, I think it's important, what I wanted to get away from this video especially, is that we're building drivers that are complementing our swing, our journey, everything else, not necessarily trying to build, there's not a miracle cure for a lot of these kind of, especially if you go for a driver fitting. I think that's what a lot of people feel. They go for a driver fitting and there's a miracle cure.
There is no miracle cure.
Especially with numbers, especially with price tags. I'm not being funny. If you're spending £550, £600 on a driver,
it's crazy.
You're expecting there's going to be a cure. Like, how do I get rid of my slice? How do I get 30 more yards.
Yeah.
And especially today, and obviously I want to talk to you about that left shot, even though like there, for example, it's gone left so much better than it was at the start, i.e. in play, but the left's still on me. I think also it's important to note, obviously, as I'm hitting these, number one, obviously the left's not going, it's not going as left, but again, drive in, obviously I do this as my job. I can feel my grip getting stronger now. We're 43 drives in, let's say, feeling a bit warm. Probably take the hoodie off, to be fair. Again, all of a sudden, you could go too far in a driver fit where now you're fitting for a new driver.
Yeah.
Because again, all of a sudden, it gets somewhat a bit tired, ball speed somewhat dropping now. And again, you've got to know when enough is enough. Like that one, for example.
I would say that's enough.
As we said at the start, Alex, obviously, interestingly, distance hasn't really changed, to be perfectly honest. But I said I'm willing to trade. I appreciate, obviously, people come in here with different criteria.
Yeah.
But I didn't mind losing 20 yards. I wanted straightness. But more importantly, I wanted to get rid of the left. And what was fascinating, actually, a lighter shaft for me, even though, let's say, robotically, for most golfers, that could be more left, like more release.
Absolutely.
However, because of the feeling of knowing where the head is, and I've been so fearful of releasing a golf club for ages, actually,
It's worked out well.
it's worked out well. We've got good ball speed. We've got, as you said, you wanted more launch, you wanted more spin. These here, especially when I miss shots to the left-hand side, it's going to help that. And more importantly, give myself a bit more confidence.
Yeah, knowing you're not going to lose it left the majority of the time.
Beautiful. Alex, thank you ever so much for having me down again, and hopefully catch up soon.
Absolute pleasure.